Well, I think my favorite part, got the camp dog down here, is being a good camp dog. You good girl, Goose? Hey, Goose. Come here, sweetie. Come here. Come here, honey. Oh, she just being a camp dog. That's right, girl. You can come on in here. She worked hard today, too. She earned it. Today is a good day. I'm real proud of you. I'm proud of the work you put in. Tomorrow's going to get interesting, because tomorrow is when we hit the Rockies, and things are going to get, for me, I just think it's better in all manner of respect. I like to get up in the mountains, in the high ground, and of course, yeah, you do get the snow and the cold temps, but that's why we build a good fire, and we just stay warm like that, right? But I think you're ready. I think you done good, and I'm looking forward to it. How much time you spent in the mountains? Well, my first trip to the Rockies was with my brother, and I forget, I think we went up to this place called Cot Lake, and Cot Lake was up around 13,000 feet, I believe, 12,500, 13, so pretty high, and it, we were winter camping, and so we got up there, and we had to dig out a snow shelter, so we had shovels, and we basically, the problem with the lake is that it was there hadn't been fresh snow in a while. It was very cold. It was about minus 20 degrees actual temperature, and we had to basically build our own snow fort in a way. The goal, our original plan, was just to dig in to a drift. But there was a drift, but the drift wasn't thick enough, wasn't deep enough. So we had to build our own, basically. And we tried to cut blocks and make an igloo, but that didn't work. So we ended up just making a big pile. And once I got a big pile made, about 4 foot, we dug it out and ended up sleeping in that the first night. And it was pretty warm. I mean, it was a lot of work, but the inside temp of the little igloo sort of thing we made, it wasn't a proper igloo, but it was about 20 degrees inside the shelter, and it was about minus 20 outside the shelter. So you can imagine being 40 degrees warmer, plus out of the wind, made it so that, what you doing, girl? Made it so that it was passable. Now, we made a few mistakes and so forth, but it wasn't that bad. Now, later on, when we, that's a good girl, later on when we had a chance to go visit the Rockies, I'm sorry, the Alps. Yeah, I know, I've been to Europe, and a long time ago, but my brother, he's always been, I like just being outdoors. My brother's a mountaineer. He likes to do the serious stuff. And we was kids, but my brother, he has had quite the adventure streak in him. Yeah, he's a real mountaineer. And we got out there to this little town in France called Chamonix. And man, I'll tell you what, that place is beautiful. I mean, you were just surrounded on all sides by thousands of feet of granite and snow and glacier, and I didn't reckon I felt much like ascending. It was a whole land. I mean, there were no trees nowhere. It was just pure ice and snow. Not much. I mean, even hiking out here in the Rockies, you got the tree line goes up to, I don't know, 12,000 foot. And it's easy to find shelter and get firewood and so forth. Up here, I mean, there was nothing. It looked like you were out in like the, you know, Mount Everest, like, you know, kind of situation. And well, they had their cable car up to this place called a Guy du Midi, and I guess a Guy du Midi means the middle needle, and this place is a spire. All right, now the way you get up there is you take what's called a cable car, right? One of them like ski things you get, and we ride up there and get off, and there's like a place where the mountaineers can start their treks into the Alps there, and also a place for just the tourists to look at the beautiful sights and the heights and stuff like that. Well, we get up there to a Guy du Midi, and my brother looks out, and we see the summit of Mont Blanc off in the distance. And for him, it was just like, you know, it was like ice cream on a cone. I mean, he couldn't resist himself. So he sees Mont Blanc, and he gets mountain fever. He's like, Jeremiah, we gotta climb that mountain. Now, we don't have much experience at the time, but we head back into the village and bought some what are called, you know, them crampons. And I don't think we're gonna need crampons for what we're doing, but we shouldn't. But you never know. I got them in case I need them, but I don't think we'll. Maybe snowshoes, but anyway, we get some of them ice axes. Things look like you know, looks like a pick. You know, it's about yay tall. You know, 2-3 foot, and the top of it has like a sharp pointy axe head, and like an axe on one side used for chopping out snow, and the other part for sticking into the ice walls and whatever. And then the main thing you use though is the pole. That you use basically as like a walking stick. And the thing is, you use them so much because the mountain's so steep. As you're hiking along, imagine this is the slope of the mountain, and you're just hiking along that slope. Well, your upward hand don't need no more than 1 foot, and you're in the snow. I mean, you just reach out and grab it like this, like right there. So you actually don't want a long handle. It gets in the way. I digress. So we get some supplies, and we get some basic sandwiches, like some, you know, just French bread and ham and some cheese, loaded up on water, and we head up the next morning bright and early. So we get out, so back up that cable car, and we get out, and we start following where all the mountaineers are heading out this ice tunnel. It's literally it's rock, but it's just covered in ice. It looks something crazy. And now, my brother and I, we thought about roping up and connecting ourselves, but we thought, well, we didn't have a lot of rope training between the two of us at the time. We do now, but we were young, and I was 16, and he was 18, 19, something like that. And we were strong, we were fit, but just didn't have much experience. But hey, you know, the folly of youth, we were bold. So we head out of the tunnel, and when you get out, first thing you see is there's a drop off on both sides. Your footpath is about the width of maybe 2 boots, and we start heading out this knife edge ridge that bends down to the right, down into this glacier bowl down here. But it's like 1,500 foot steep on the right, and it's about 3,000 foot on your left, all the way down to the valley. So if you fell over to your left, you were in deep trouble. If you fell over to your right, you'd probably, it'd be a roller coaster. You'd slide down into that bowl. Wouldn't be fun, but I don't know. So we start hiking along, and I see my brother in front, and he's leading the way, but even he got rattled. You know, I saw him pick up 1 foot. It looked like an Elvis leg. Like he takes 1 foot like this, and steps down and takes his other foot, and it's shaking like Elvis. He steps down, he gets the next, and I just, at that point I realized, like, whoa, baby, we might be in over our heads a little bit. So off we go down to this cirque. Now, we're definitely not the only hikers, but, we were just wearing, like, blue jeans and just basic working gloves, like, just regular ranching gloves like this, nothing special. But it was the summertime, so it was pretty warm. And anyway, we get out, and we're heading down to this bowl, and we get down there, no problem. It's pretty smooth sailing, if I'm being honest. And we even passed up a few hikers, and there's some tourist groups up there doing their thing. And we get to the first steep part of climbing. The first part was basically a down climb into this bowl, into this cirque. And now it's time to head back up the ridge, right? And there's some glaciers and stuff, but there's a trail. It's pretty clear, pretty obvious. And so we start heading up that. And again, we're doing real well, passing up people. Feeling strong. It's still early in the morning. And we get up to this first ridge, and we decide we're going to stop and have a sandwich and drink some water. And we're feeling pretty good, The summit is looking closer. We look out across the valley. You can see the summit of Mont Blanc over there, and it's like, well, that don't look that bad. So we head down. Now the problem is that it's deceptive. When you're standing back at the Guy du Midi and you look out, it looks like a pretty straight shot to the summit. What you can't see is all the up and down. So in other words, you first leave at the ice tunnel and you head down into the bowl, and then you hike back up. So you lose all that altitude. You got to gain it all back. Now we get to that ridge, and now we got to hike all the way back down. All the altitude we gained, circle around another bowl, and then come up to another ridge. So we hike around and get to the other side of this bowl, and it's a bottleneck. You see, there's too many tourists, too many hikers, and it's basically a one-way trail. But there's hikers coming from both sides on this trail. And this one group had really slowed everybody up because you had to hike up this one steep chute. I mean, it must have been 65, 70 degrees, maybe only a couple 100 foot, but that's one person at a time. You take your ice axe, you plunge it in as deep as you can, you kick your boots in, you step up, and you take your ice axe, you plunge it in, you kick your boots in, you step up. Not too technical or scary, but like, the penalty points are high. You don't want to fall, even though it's not hard. Anyway, because only one person can go up over this little mini pass at a time, there's a line of maybe like, 15, 30, maybe 20 of us. I remember that it was more than I was expecting, and we have to sit there and wait for like an hour, and we're in the shadow, in the shade, and start getting real cold. Eventually, one of the boys up in the front, toward the actual chute we were going to climb, yells out, "Avalanche, avalanche!" And so everybody ducks and tucks in real tight to the side of the mountain, and a bunch of ice and snow comes pouring over our right shoulders down into the valley. Now, I wouldn't call it an avalanche per se, but I mean, it was definitely a lot of snow and ice that came down on top of us and went past us. And so when that was by, we look at each other and we're like, okay, like, this is getting serious. So the line is moving, but it is crawling. But bit by bit, we get closer. There's one more little avalanche scare. The gentleman up in the front yells out, "Avalanche!" Everybody ducks into the mountain, and ice and snow comes pouring over our heads. Now, finally, we get up, and it's our turn. And we feel like we've been on this mountain now for quite a while. It's early afternoon. We're talking 1 o'clock, and that is not a good time to be climbing a mountain. We planned on being on the summit by then. And we get to the top of this bottleneck, this ridge of this ice chute, and son of a, what'd it do? Back down again. And this time, it's this long skate sweep. Now we can finally see the summit, the actual summit of Mont Blanc, and it's a straight shot. So at least we know at this point that we're not going to have to down climb again before we get up, which was encouraging. But by now we are tired. I'm tired. Now my brother, he's still feeling strong. Again, I'm only 16. My brother was stronger than I was for sure, and he's hiking ahead. And I'm hiking along this trail. It goes like this. And as I'm walking, I start feeling sorry for myself. And, the wind is whipping, and it's blinding my eyes. I'm only wearing sunglasses, and the wind's coming in. It's ice cold and the ice crystals, and it stings. And I basically started crying a little bit. I felt pretty bad for myself. So my brother's maybe, that's enough. Shh, hush, honey. My brother's maybe 30, 40 yards ahead. Hey, hush. Telling a story now. Shh, hush now. And he doesn't notice, but as I'm walking along that slope, again, this trail now is about the width of my boot, and I'm wearing crampons, which means I got spiky junk on the bottom of my feet, and they stick out a little bit on the sides. And as I'm taking a step, my boots clip, and the metal teeth on the bottom click, and I tripped, and I fell. And as I fell forward, I caught myself on my ice axe. And I looked down to my right, and it's 2,000 feet down to the next bowl down there. And I don't know how I would have stopped if I had gotten started. I mean, it was the wind had packed the ice, so it was not fluffy snow. It was grainy, steep, hard ice, and I caught myself on my ice axe, and my feet kind of flailed, and I thought to myself, boy, you got two options. You can either buck up and finish this summit, or you can sit down here in a puddle and feel sorry for yourself. And so I made a choice, and that choice was to cowboy up, to man up, to buck up, to quit being a little whiny crybaby and get on with it. And so I did. I wiped the tears out of my eyes and just said, well, best way to get this over with is just to keep moving forward. So I start hiking again, slowly start catching up with my brother a little bit, and we're finally on the final summit push, and we're doing like a zigzag. It's called a traverse, back and forth slowly up to the summit. And we passed some other hikers and climbers. Again, we were strong. We just were so ill prepared. Now, we get to the summit, and we both broke down and cried a little bit. It was tears of joy and tears of pride and tears of we had really pushed ourselves harder than we thought we could, and we got up there. And the funny thing is that the summit itself, it looks like a big kind of wide bowl from down in the Gita Madi. When you're actually up there, the summit is actually more like a knife edge. But we were looking at it this way, right? So it looked kind of rounded. But if you looked at it sideways, it was more like this. More like actually like this, where like one side, the back side is super, super steep. And then that front side kind of comes over like that and then it goes sharp. So we get up there on this thing. And it's 4,000 foot off on the left-hand side. This little knife-edge trail we're hiking down. And no shakes. You know, nerves were calm at this point. We're just like, well, that's just another day. And it was amazing how far our mental psyche had come from my brother first doing Elvis legs, you know, hiking with them Elvis legs and so forth. But now we got another problem. Now, the problem is that we don't got no tent. We don't got no tent. We don't got no rope. We just thought we were just gonna blast this sucker and just cruise it, and we were humbled. And my brother had looked at these topo maps of the area, and he had seen earlier that there might be these alpine huts scattered throughout the Alps, and we thought, man, maybe that's, well, let's assess our options. We got some money, we each had some cash. Now keep in mind, this is all back before that European Union. This was like, you know, you had your Swiss francs, your French francs, your Italian lira. So like, and Mont Blanc has a Swiss side, a French side, and an Italian side. So it behooved you to have the right money. Anyway, we did have some, we had some French and some Swiss francs. And we're like, well, we can go back the way we come, and we can maybe pay a camping group to let us sleep in their tent tonight with them. It'd be cold, but you know, we'd have some shelter. And the other option is we keep going. We keep hiking on down and hope that we get to either some kind of a hut or a shelter, or we'll just have to hike all the way down tonight in one long push, which we did not want to do. So as we're hiking down, first thing we do see there is, lo and behold, there is a hut, a shelter off down to our right. And we're like, well, let's go see if it's open. So we hike on down to this shelter, and it's locked up. It's empty. It's abandoned, or not abandoned. I mean, it was certainly used for something. It just was not being used right now. So it's all locked up. So we're like, well, okay, keep going. And by now it's getting late afternoon, like 4 o'clock. And this is the most dangerous time to be on a mountain, because the snow has been hitting the sun has been hitting the snow all day, melting it, getting it soft. And if there's any snow bridges over any glaciers or crevasses, those snow bridges are now going to be their weakest. And again, my brother, he leads the way. We're hiking down the glacier, and suddenly he disappears. He falls to about his chest in the snow, and he was about 30 yards in front of me, so I couldn't grab him or anything like that. He just kind of fell. He put his arms out and he caught himself, and he yells at me. He said, "Jeremiah, be careful. There's a crevasse here," that he had fell into. And he crawls out, luckily, but his foot was just flopping down there in black space. I mean, there was nothing there. So I get up to it, and we can see the depression in the snow on the sides from where that crevasse was, and that snow bridge that he crossed was. And we can see it's about 3 foot wide. And we're like, well, I gotta cross this thing too. Like, how are we gonna do it? And he's like, well, let's get a running start, and you're just gonna jump, and I'm gonna grab your hand. I'm like, okay. So I back up 3-4 foot, and I take a couple big steps, and I jump, reach out, grabs my hand, and pulls me across, and we made it. Now, we crossed like 2 or 3 more of these bridges. This time being real mindful when we saw any dips in the snow that could be a symbol of crevasse, and on down we go. Now, lo and behold, about an hour later, we do see another hut, an alpine shelter, and this one looked open. And so we get up there, and even hiking up to it, I mean, this thing's on like this crazy spire or rock so that it won't get avalanched off. So even just getting up to the front door was like a technical rock climb. But we get in there, and son of a, wouldn't you know, I mean, it was like they had, you know, warm beds and a hot meal. It was weird. It was like surreal. We had just gone through this, you know, ordeal, my brother and I, and we were exhausted and tired. I mean, this was just like a sight for sore eyes. You cannot believe. And we like I said, we had some money, so we were able to pay the hut guardian, and met some real cool climbers who took pity on us. And the next day, they asked if we had ropes, and we're like, nope. And they said, well, do you boys want to rope up with us? We're like, yes, ma'am. Yes, we do. We'd love to rope up with you fine folk. And so, bless their hearts, they did. So they tied us in, and so we had a 5-person rope team. And with a 5-person rope team, the beauty of that is if one person falls, you got 4 to catch the person who fell. Whereas if it's just my brother and me, you know, if one of us fell, it's hard to stop somebody else with only one person. And this is the time we're hiking through like the glacier fields, so these, you know, 15-foot, 20-foot blocks of ice everywhere that you're, you know, working your way down through. And, you know, we'd give a bunch of slack to the person in front, 4 people in the back, brace themselves, get ready on the rope. And person 1 goes down, secures themselves. Same thing for person 2, 3, 4, and 5. And long and short, you know, we do eventually we get back to Guy de Midi, and we get back down to the town of Chamonix the following day, and it just felt surreal. Like, you know, just moments the night before and the day before we had been up on that mountain, going through all that, and here we were back on solid ground, you know, surrounded by chateaus and chalets and people wearing all kind of fancy gear and everything, and it was just it was quite the experience. It was quite the experience. Now, what we're going to be seeing tomorrow should be nothing like that. Like I said, we're going to be going higher up in the altitude. I think we're going to crest in the neighborhood of 12,000 foot. You know, you might find it a little hard to breathe. You might get a bit of a headache. If you do, just let me know, and we'll slow things down. But I'll tell you what, you are going to see some of the most pristine, beautiful American country you ever saw. This is one of my favorite parts of doing what we do. It's the most challenging part, but it is by far the most rewarding. So I think it's time that we all tuck in, get a good night rest, and feel strong and fresh for tomorrow. So why don't you go ahead and pour yourself one more bourbon. Not too much. We'll sit around the campfire here for maybe another 15, 20 minutes or so. Just enjoy these nice mountain stars and crisp mountain air. Sound good to you? Yeah. Even Goose is going to bed. All right. Now, folks,